Welcome to episode 8 in the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Dota 2. And if I remember correctly, last time we were talking about leveling up and skill points. This time I'm here to introduce you to hero stats and attributes, how they work and what they mean for you and your hero. This will give you a better understanding of the numbers which make up each hero and how they can change how much health or mana, armor and movement speed your hero has, as well as some other things too. I've learnt most of these things through playing the game for 2,000 hours or so, but it probably would have been better if I sat down and watched a video like this to get a better understanding from the start. Lucky you found this video and are more likely to avoid elo hell than most people. Anyway, seeing as you did find this video, I'm sure my channel has many other helpful videos, so make sure you subscribe and ring the bell for notifications when my new videos come out too. That would be awesome and really help out my channel. Thanks for that. One of the first things you may notice in Dota is the way that the heroes are grouped by default in the hero selection screen, which is by the hero's primary attribute. There are 3 attributes in Dota. These are strength, agility, and intelligence. Attributes give the heroes certain stats which are added for each level you gain. However, most often, the primary attribute is the one that increases the most per level. In addition to the other stats you gain for the attributes, your primary attribute will also grant you base damage, which is your physical attack damage that you deal every time you attack. For example, if you're an agility hero, picking up an agility item which gives you 6 agility will give you about 1 armor, 6 attack speed, 0.3% movement speed, and an extra 6 base damage. If you were an intelligence hero and you picked up the same item, you would get all the same bonuses except for the extra base damage. Now, as I mentioned before, the 3 attributes are strength, agility, and intelligence. Each point in strength gives you 20 health, 0.09 HP regen, and 0.08% magic resistance. Each point in agility gives you 0.16 armor, 1 attack speed, and 0.05% movement speed. And finally, each point in intelligence gives you 12 mana, 0.05 mana regen, and 0.07% spell amplification. Keep in mind that sometimes these values change to make balances to the game, so if these are slightly out sometime in the future, that's probably why. I also mentioned that each hero gains a certain amount of attributes per level, and this actually changes depending on which hero you are. But let's start with the foundations first. Each hero is given a starting value for each attribute, and this, combined with the hero's base values, dictates their starting stats such as their max health, max mana, health regen, mana regen, magic resistance, and armor. For every level that the hero gains, they will gain a certain amount of strength, agility, and intelligence, and this will vary hero to hero. Let's take Alchemist for example. Alchemist is a strength hero who has a base strength of 25, a base agility of 22, and a base intelligence of 25 as well. For each level that Alchemist grows, he gains 2.4 strength, 1.2 agility, and 1.8 intelligence. From this, we can see that Alchemist gains a lot more strength than the other stats, so he is naturally going to be quite a tanky hero with high health and health regen, as well as a little more magic resistance. Building even more strength items on Alchemist will boost his tankiness even further, but also give him extra attack damage for each point he gains. I really hope you understand this concept, as it is quite important to know how to interpret this information, as you'll get a much deeper knowledge of how the game works, and how you can exploit different heroes' strengths or weaknesses to your advantage. The next thing I want to mention is movement speed. But Defied, everyone knows about movement speed. Why are you wasting my silence? I kill you! No, but seriously, I know most people will know about this, but this is a beginner's guide and I really want to mention this and get it across for those that might not. Movement speed is simply the speed that your hero moves, with a higher value being faster. Naturally, having a higher movement speed than other heroes means you can run away from them easier, but can also catch them easier if they are running away from you. Never underestimate how important movement speed is in a game of Dota. I find that having a higher movement speed than most other heroes is one of the most important stats to have in the game. Being able to run down or run away from heroes, although it might seem really simple, is actually very powerful, as it can help you to get on top of and stay on top of heroes in fights, or even dodge some abilities, and sometimes that might mean the difference between an extra kill or surviving a critical fight. It also means that you can farm a fraction faster by moving between neutral camps and lanes quicker, and Dota can often be won by simple things like this. Every hero has a different base movement speed or starting movement speed that you should be aware of in the early game. The slowest starting movement speed is 270 and the fastest is 330, which puts the average somewhere around 300. Remember that you can see your movement speed down here in the game, and you can also click on your allies or enemies and view their movement speed or other stats and attributes here too. You can improve your movement speed by buying boots of speed and then upgrading them into the various types depending on your role or what you might need. You could also buy cheap items like Windlace, which give you a small boost as well and can be upgraded later into something like a Yule's or Spirit Vessel. Alright, damage. Yes, I know, damage is simple too, but there are different damage types which you might not know about, and it is certainly important to know. There are actually quite a number of effects and mechanics surrounding damage, which all factor into how the final damage value is calculated, but there are 3 primary damage types which I want to mention and talk about. The first is physical damage. Physical damage is dealt when a unit attacks another unit, usually through a direct melee attack or a projectile launched at the unit. This is the most basic type of attack, and every hero has a physical attack which deals physical damage. This type of damage is usually strongest from carry heroes during the late game, as they often rely on dealing damage through physical attacks rather than spells. Keep in mind though, that some spells can deal physical damage as well, and not all spells will deal magical damage. Magical damage, the second damage type, is usually dealt by casting a spell on an enemy. Magic damage is very strong against most heroes, but the strength of spells doesn't usually scale as high as physical damage does during a game. As I mentioned before, physical damage can also come from spells, but just like this, there are actually some items which can manipulate physical attacks to cause a level of magic damage too, such as Maelstrom, which can proc a chain lightning on attack. The final damage type is pure damage, which is a very unique type of damage which is usually only dealt by spells of certain heroes. While physical and magic damage can be reduced by armor and magic resistance, which I'll mention next, pure damage is not reduced at all by this, and thus it can be very effective for bringing heroes down who have high resistances to either or both physical or magic damage. Also, from time to time, you will see abilities which grant a percentage bonus damage, or you might pick up a double damage rune. This bonus damage only affects your base damage and will not increase the damage given directly by items. You may see a white number as well as a green number down here for your damage value. The white number is your base damage and is increased by your primary attribute, while the green number is given by items that explicitly state they give a certain amount of damage, like the +9 damage given by Blades of Attack. Now, while Dota is all about destroying and killing your enemies, sometimes you've also got to protect yourself from your enemies, and understanding the damage types that they deal will also help with your itemization. Armor is a stat which increases your resistance to physical attacks, meaning that a higher value of armor will reduce more of an incoming enemy attack. In order to increase your armor, you can buy items which specifically state that they grant armor, or you can also buy items which have agility in them. I'd recommend to go for those that grant armor explicitly, unless you're an agility hero who will naturally buy items with agility in them as they will benefit from them much more. Then again, it depends on the role you are playing and the items you need. Anyway, armor will reduce the incoming damage you take, but the way it is calculated is a little bit complicated. Basically, physical damage is calculated by the damage value multiplied by the damage multiplier, which factors in armor. The higher the armor, the more damage is reduced and the more physical damage you can tank. This can also be calculated as effective HP, which shows you how much physical damage you can take due to certain levels of armor. Here is a graph taken from the Dota 2 Gamepedia wiki, which shows how armor affects effective HP. Here the hero has 1000 health at 0 armor, but as the armor increases, the effective HP also increases. Armor can also be reduced by certain abilities and items, and can fall below 0. In this case, negative values of armor amplifies the physical damage you take, so be very careful around heroes that can deal high physical damage and have armor reducing abilities. Magic resistance, on the other hand, will reduce the amount of damage dealt by an enemy magic spell. Most heroes will get a small amount of magic resistance throughout the game from their strength gain per level. However, it is often best to buy magic resistance items or spell immunity to protect yourself from magic damage if the enemy team has a lot of magic spells. The formula for magic resistance is a little bit simpler, but essentially the higher the value, the more magic damage you can tank before you die. Similar to physical damage, effective HP against magic damage can also be given, and here is the table for a 1000 HP hero at different levels of magic resistance. Just as you can gain magic resistance, certain abilities and items can amplify the amount of magic damage you can take by reducing your magic resistance, so be sure you are aware of the heroes and items that can do this, and purchase further resistance if you need to. There are certainly more mechanics inside Dota, and we could go a lot deeper, but I think this gives you a great introduction and understanding of some of the core mechanics inside Dota. Make sure you like the video if this has helped you out, and share it with your friends if you've got someone that it might help as well. If you want more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel too for more awesome content. The next video in the series will be on status effects, so make sure you come back in time for that one. Thanks for watching everyone, and happy gaming!